People fly in jets and they are addicted. And we have to know about the high functioning alcoholics or addicts. They have their works, they have their families. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me once more. Welcome to my channel where we get to educate ourselves about mental health and therefore get to work on our mental wellness. Now, as you can see from the title, today the 26th of June is usually the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. And this year's theme is about knowing the facts so that you can be able to save lives. I would like to educate you about the facts concerning addiction. And the reason for this is, as I have shared in the past, I have actually worked in a rehabilitation center and I have seen so much stigma that goes around addiction, even to the point whereby most people do not want to go to rehab, they do not want to go through treatment. And this is actually sad because statistically so many people go through addiction. Statistics show that actually 1 in 7 people can get addicted at some point in their lives, but you find that only like 10% of them ever get treatment. So what is happening to the rest? So the first thing that I want to talk about, people tend to believe that addiction is a choice. I am here to say that this is not true because no one chooses to get addicted. Of course, I know you will come up with the argument that, oh, this person decided to start drinking or smoking or whatever. That's fine. The issue is now when it comes to addiction, this is not a choice. It's like saying that someone is choosing to have cancer or someone is choosing to be diabetic. Addiction is a disease, and with diseases, you do not really know when it's going to get you. The other thing that I want us to know the facts about is that people tend to believe that addiction affects a certain people, that it cannot face you, or just because someone in your family doesn't have it, then you do not care about it. This is not the case. We tend to think that only people from the low backgrounds or minority groups tend to be addicted, like the way we usually see maybe people sleeping in ditches and we think that they're of poor status, that those are the ones who get addicted, but this is not true. People fly in jets and they are addicted. The only difference is that they get treatment that is of high quality, and we have to know about the high functioning alcoholics or addicts. These are people who actually go about their lives. They have their works, they have their families, and most of the time they hide this addiction. But in one moment or another, this actually comes out in the open, and people actually realize that this person is an addict. Another fact that I would want us to identify is with the myth that people who are addicted have moral flaw. Just because someone maybe is a bad person or is morally flawed, that's when they get addicted. This is not true. Addiction, as I have said, is a disease. It usually affects our brain and affects the parts of our brain that are connected to morality, to self-control, and to pleasure. So, addiction is not a moral flaw because when one uses these drugs, they actually go and affect the part of brain that goes hand in hand with our morality, with our judgment. And then it actually heightens lack of self-control. So you find that this person is constantly going for that drug of choice, and they can actually see the harmful consequences. You might find that someone actually goes to the hospital, they have DUIs, but they're still continuing. The only thing that can be done is to control the addiction, which is going to treatment and maintaining a recovering process throughout their lives. The other point is that prescription drugs are not drugs. This is actually not true. You find that we have some psychiatric medications, we have even cold and flu medications like codeine, whereby people actually tend to get addicted to them. You find that they're abusing them. I remember a friend of mine once shared that when she took codeine, which is a syrup for cold and flus, she used to get a really nice high and just want to sleep. And you see, this can tend to be addictive. If you notice that you're getting that sense of high from medication, then talk to your doctor to change your prescription or find an alternative. The other fact that I want us to identify is that you do not necessarily have to hit rock bottom to go and seek for treatment. People wait until they sleep on the road. People wait until it gets so far down. And you see, the more you wait, the harder treatment becomes. The more time it will take for you to recover. So if you notice the way you're going, the way you're taking these drugs, the way they're affecting you is alarming. Please go and seek help. And this takes me to the point of treatment. People tend to believe that there is nothing that can be done to people who have gone through addiction. You dismiss them, you say kama anataka kunywa wacha tu akunywe, kama ni sigara wacha tu avute, there's nothing we can do. We have addiction treatment. There are so many models of addiction treatment. It is just the best thing to do is to just find what works for you. It may be therapy, it may be support groups, it may be different forms of therapy as well. Just find what works for you. And usually addiction treatment ranges from 21 days to 90 days or even more, depending on the severity of the addiction and also depending on the individual. Just because, let's say, person A is addicted to alcohol and person B is also addicted to alcohol, it does not necessarily mean the same kind of treatment works for them. Something to note about this: you should not expect your loved one to just go to rehab for that short period of time and everything is going to be okay. This is a chronic illness. Imagine a chronic illness. That means you have to work on it all your life. So, if someone maybe goes to the rehab and then they relapse, do not be so hard on them, do not judge them. Just help them continue practicing what they have learned, continue seeking the treatment and the support. Support is very important, it is very key, because you get to find people who are like you support each other, you encourage each other, and you learn from each other. And most importantly, you get the accountability, as compared to just getting out of treatment, going home, and continuing with your life. The last thing that I want us to understand is that everyone has a part to play in addiction treatment, in stopping drug abuse and illicit trafficking. You may not have a family member who is an addict, you may not know someone who is an addict, but that does not mean there's nothing you can do. In one way or another, we all get affected by drug abuse. You can imagine the accidents to innocent people who have never even tasted any drug. You can imagine the kind of money that is being channeled to these treatment facilities. You can imagine people who are addicted and their work is affected, their productivity goes down. It takes a toll on the economy, and in one way or another, you just have to get involved. Educate yourself, help the ones that you know have this problem, help people seek help, do advocacy, just anything. And this is going to get the help that is needed and help people speak out and actually seek help. So that is it from me. I'm sure that you have learned one thing or two. Please write down in the comment section so that I can know what you have learned. And I am open to making more videos on addiction because there's so much about it. And if you want that, also don't hesitate to comment down or connect with me on my social media to learn more. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Until next time, bye bye from me.